Welcome back to Show Em The Dore, the most Knuff podcast on the planet. My name is Christopher Conway. This is my co-host, Willem Azzinnaro. Today, we have only one football game to talk about, but knowing us, that means it's going to be a 2-hour podcast. Housekeeping, we might have a guest next week.
We keep house.
We occasionally keep houses. Hire the Show Em The Dore maid service.
I need money.
Yeah, Willem's broke.
I will come in a little maid outfit, duster things.
It's gonna be like a little feather duster.
Yeah, I'll be like that 1950s maid.
Yeah,
in, those movies. If I do something wrong, you slap me, and I'd be like, That's how it is.
Yeah. Welcome back to Show Em The Dore, the only maid service podcast.
This is official.
This is official. Yeah,
this is 100% true.
We're launching.
We would never lie to you.
The Show Em The Dore.
When have we ever told you we're doing something and
that we didn't do? Oh my gosh, I can't think of one singular time.
Neither can I.
Big updates is we now have a TikTok.
It's true. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, that just came to mind. Willem, take it away.
So here's the thing. I have a TikTok.
He does.
And this summer I posted just little stupid things for myself. And then I was like, you know what? We should have a TikTok for Show Em The Dore.
That's true.
So I changed my TikTok to Show Em The Dore. So if you look up at s.e.t.d.
Yeah, for Show Em The Dore. For
Show
those
Em The
that
Dore.
can
For
spell.
those that...
For our deaf audience.
But look us up there and you can see some fun little clips from episodes. I'm going to add more soon.
Well, have you ever thought to yourself, I love Show Em The Dore, but sometimes it's just not in an easily digestible format?
Have you ever told us that our podcast would do better in manageable bite-sized chunks?
If so, you're my family.
You're welcome.
So
we are finally listening to what people have been saying for 3 years now.
We got almost 1,000 views on the first one.
We're popular.
That's about a lot more.
It's also the least entertaining and funny one of the three.
Yeah. The three that are on right now, I don't remember what the first one is, but the second one was about the Babe Ruth rant off 2 episodes ago, which was a banger. And I think Willem will be posting the end of the Wilt Chamberlain rant, including the minors comment. So that will be fun. I'm sure that will do numbers on you old TikTok. With that being said, also follow us on Instagram and Twitter, which is just at Show Em The Dore. D-O-R-E, as you can see on the shirt back there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we going back to the whole guest thing, we should have a guest next week, and that name will be dropped sometime soon. I don't think we're gonna make sure that it gets confirmed, but we're relative.
If I had a nickel for every time a guest has
been confirmed and then been like, oh, I gotta reschedule the day before, I'd have about a quarter.
And it's all the same guest, which is interesting.
It'll be okay. We're not going to... I don't remember who's rescheduled all that many times.
Mallard Ball last year. They were supposed to come right before. Then they were scheduled for the next week. Didn't happen. The next week.
Is it the person we've been DMing this year as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're coming. I believe it.
I was like, there they are.
Oh, yeah. I believe they're coming.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's all just misunderstandings. But,
yes.
We're going to drop the name soon. So stay up to date on our TikTok and stuff.
And Instagram and potentially Twitter. And it's going to be a fun time.
Perchance.
Separately, before we really get into this episode, subscribe to Show Em The Dore on YouTube, where you are watching right now. If you haven't subscribed, I'm not going to do the thing that a lot of YouTubers do, where they're like, oh my gosh, 71.9% of viewers aren't subscribed, and they throw up that same graphic that everybody uses. So subscribe, but there should be a card-ish here that will say what should I say this week?
Lord, I don't even know.
Okay, it's gonna say Lord, I don't even know, and it's gonna take you to where you can subscribe to Show Em The Dore. Also, if you watch to the end, which would be really sick of you to do, because why not boost our watch hours? Yeah. There will be a button that says subscribe, and then another video if you really love your Show Em The Dore content.
Binge.
I would say we're binge worthy, wouldn't you?
I live with you.
Yeah, I'm forcibly binge worthy to Willem. So, with that being said, do you have any other housekeeping matters to discuss?
Nope.
So, we have a single football game to talk about, but boy, was it a game. We didn't win, but there were good things, actually. We actually watched some of that game together, so I know you watched some of it. It was versus Missouri.
I forgot. Missouri is ranked.
Yes, which is...
Is there, what, 5-0?
Crazy. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's wrong. Missouri's the worst state in the union.
In the union?
Well, that's just what they say.
Yeah, you're just like...
The Confederacy, on the other hand.
Yeah, you're like, that's South Carolina. You're like,
No, South Carolina is one of the worst states. Not the worst, because it's got beaches. Missouri doesn't have anything going for it at all.
Dang right it does.
Like Kansas City, but like that could just go in Kansas.
Yeah, I'm looping like a little bit of Kansas City, and that's just making Kansas bigger. At least Kansas like sticks to the bit. They're like, yeah, we're just all field, and at least they're like real. Missouri tries to be cool.
Lame. It's Missouri. If you're from Missouri, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Deeply apologize.
That's
What's
really
your least favorite state?
Pick a struggle. Least favorite?
Yeah.
That's a hard question because like I don't think I can make judgments off states I haven't been to. If you want me to like, if you just want me to go off vibe. Oh, off vibe, probably West Virginia.
Yeah.
I feel like I would hate every person from West Virginia.
She doesn't watch.
She doesn't watch.
But Brooke will tell her. Shout out to Bridget, my virtual roommate, and my girlfriend's roommate. She's from West Virginia.
She is the only.
Chris just said he hates you.
She's the only tolerable person from West Virginia.
So you're tolerable. Congrats.
That's not well. Okay. Do they have to live in West Virginia?
We're pals. Well, what?
Because like, I like Appalachian State, and I think that's in West Virginia.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll hold on. Let me change my answer. West Virginia's up there though.
Yeah, but I think there are worse ones.
Maybe Utah.
Jeez. That's fair.
Utah's up there. I would argue Delaware.
What?
Name one thing in Delaware. Because the river I don't think even is.
George Washington.
Man was on the court. Just absolutely put on the old AI on it. It was crazy.
What?
He crossed the Delaware. But yeah, dude, that river. That's actually why it was
no longer in Delaware.
So Delaware was actually named after one Carl Delaware, and he was a Unionist in the Revolutionary War, and he was he had figured out where the revolutionaries were coming, and George Washington said that if I beat you on the court, that you can't tell them about our plans. And so when, it's revisionist history.
He crossed the Delaware.
Yeah, he crossed them up and, scored the winning layup. But everyone was like...
non-native speaker.
Everyone was like, really impressed. But instead of it, becoming...
The painting really misled people.
Yeah, it was... The painting was supposed to be like a symbolic thing.
Y'all took it too
also,
seriously.
yeah, like, it's hard to say you won a war on the basketball court. So they really just had to make it like, different. But so yeah,
that means Delaware. Like,
that's actually
what goes
happened.
on in Delaware.
A lot of white people. That in like Connecticut.
But they've got UConn.
True, and I mess with UConn.
UConn does things. Delaware has nothing, but I think it's neutral enough that it doesn't matter.
The thing is like, I hate the bystander effect. The tragedy of commons is one of the worst things in the world, and if you're just a bystander state, you're equally a problem. Yeah, you heard it here first. Anyway.
So is Delaware your answer?
No, I'm gonna go Utah.
Okay.
I'm just also gonna say I don't like Delaware.
Okay, fair. So you would get rid of Utah if you could get rid of one state?
Yeah. Get rid of in what way?
Like it is just gone.
Booted?
There's a
hole. A hole in the center of the earth?
No, you just like it's like a warp thing. Where
it's like when you
go straight to California or wherever else.
It's like when you open like a PNG on a computer and you like highlight a part and hit delete and there's just nothing there but like the background.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, probably Utah. I don't know about anything good in Utah. I don't really like BYU all that much. Like, really, what else is there?
Nothing.
It's not like they're going to hear about... Oh, wait, no, they have internet. That's the Mormons. Oh, no, that's the Amish.
Mormons have internet.
Yeah,
Amish
yeah,
don't.
Yeah.
And Amish people are, like, kind of cool.
I've heard good things.
They got their little horses and stuff.
I mess
Do
with
Mormons have horses?
I think they could. If they wanted to. I'll ask Sarah, the resident horse expert.
Just one.
So football. We watched the Missouri game. Willem and I did for about the first half, and then he left, and then I watched the second half.
What did I go to do?
It was a Saturday. Don't know. It started at 3, so probably Mallard Bowl.
Mallard Bowl was Thursday.
Oh, then I don't know, man. You probably just didn't want to watch because you're a bad podcast host. Just kidding. You'll watch basketball. Nevertheless, so we started Ken Seals in this game because AJ Swan has been dealing with some injuries. And I thought Ken Seals looked pretty good. He wasn't... Ken Seals is not a transcendent quarterback talent. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not even in college. He's not like a Caleb Williams. But what he doesn't make mistakes, which I think is really, really important, especially in this Vanderbilt offense. Because last week versus Kentucky, the game was really close except for, the turnovers that we had. I mean, we gave them 14 points and then another pick as well. And, I mean, we lost by 24. So, you take that off the board, we're in a 24-21 game, theoretically, because they also scored a touchdown off that third pick. I think Ken Seals was like 21 of 30 for 255 and a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown, and he threw one pick, sure. But, like, it wasn't... I didn't feel like Ken Seals ever made, like, many mistakes that, like, really kept us out of the game, which... is a really big step forward for this offense, I think. And on the depth chart, I think it has him as listed as number 1 this week. So, AJ Swan, though the future of the program, might be getting more time to really learn the offense and, learn how to develop the reads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that once that happens, I think AJ Swan's going to be phenomenal. But I actually really liked what Ken did. I think that if Ken played the Kentucky game, I think we probably would have won. I think if Ken played the UNLV game, we might have won. But I think that one's a little bit more on the defense because putting up 37 against UNLV isn't terrible.
Yeah, no.
But you have to win that game, in my opinion. But so the main issue that happened within the Missouri game is Missouri was actually just the better team. We scored, I think we lost by 17. And there were just points in the game where you could tell that, like, they have some insane wide receiver talent over there. And we haven't been able to say that since Drew Lock was the quarterback in Missouri. But they have a guy named Luther Burden who's currently leading the SEC in receiving yards and touchdowns. He was a 5-star. He sounds like a lawyer in John Grisham novels. They're like, and then he comes
Luther Burden.
Luther Burden Esquire.
He comes in there to ruin your life.
Yeah.
You just got hit by like a truck or something, and you're trying to sue, and he's
definitely
like,
a defense
Your
attorney.
Honor, my client is innocent, and Your Honor's like,
I can't argue with Luther Burden.
Can't argue with Luther,
Yeah.
Come on, man. And you're like, I got hit by a semi-truck. How's that my fault?
I definitely feel like
Luther said so.
I'm
That's
like,
the billboard.
Luther said so. No, but
Definitely
he's
like a corporate lawyer.
He is no. I think he'd be a criminal defense attorney. Like he'd be like.
But only if you're actually guilty.
Why are we making him so bad? Why
His name is Luther.
Okay, you know who's also his last name was Luther?
Lex.
Oh wait, you know whose middle name was Luther?
Martin.
Yes. Also,
But he was king.
There was 95 Theses guy as well.
Martin Luther.
Yes. I know a couple Luthers in my time.
Yeah, it's interesting going to mass and stuff and like talking to Catholic people because like
We
Martin
can't.
Luther.
We're not getting on religion
Protestantism
again.
Is like
We're
a
not.
hero,
We're not doing this again.
And for Catholics, it's like, dang, he is like
Okay.
Not a good guy.
So
It's crazy, actually.
Luther Burden, he 5-star receiver a couple years ago. He came in last year and he looked electric in the couple games he played, but he got hurt, and everyone was like, he'll be fine. He was going to be really good next year. But I don't think anybody expected the leap that he's really made. Like, I think he'll be a first-round pick next year. Not in this draft, but next year's draft, because I think he's only a sophomore, if I remembered correctly. I don't know if he ever redshirted, so maybe it could even be... Anyway, not the point. So I think he's going to be stellar. And there were some catches he made where, like... I feel like the weakness of Vanderbilt's defense had always been on the deep ball, because our secondary just hadn't been able to keep up with some of the top-end talent in the SEC. Because, I mean, you're asking to guard people like Jalen Waddle, like high NFL players when you play in the SEC. And so we just kind of didn't have that ability on the back end. But I thought during the Missouri game, we actually did a really good job for 90% of the game, keeping them, in front of us, not letting the 80-yard bomb happen. They had one 44-yard touchdown that maybe we could fix, but it wasn't. I expected them to try to air out the ball consistently. And I thought our game plan was, okay, if we can just keep everything in front of us, they're going to make enough mistakes to stall their drives. And I thought it was a good game plan, actually. It turned out that they could, they could still play that way, and they played, relatively clean after halftime, especially. But there was never a time until the very end that I really felt like we were out of the game, which is different than I have felt in previous times watching. And so that was really encouraging, I thought. Yeah. I thought that we've allowed some young guys in the secondary to get some playing time, and I think they've performed pretty well. So after they develop some, I think they're going to be really good. I know we even have the number 40 overall player next year coming to Vandy. He is a safety, so that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, I thought Will Shepherd had a good game. He got a little upset on Twitter, though, because somebody tweeted that he is the best receiver in the SEC, which I think I agree with. But I think he quote tweeted it and said something along the lines of, "Imagine if he was in the game plan for more than 1.5 quarters," which is an interesting little tidbit. Mm-hmm. But I kind of don't understand how you don't game plan for Will Shepherd. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty consistently open. He's if you watch him on a snap-to-snap basis, always open, always getting where he needs to be. He's had a couple drops on the season, one of which specifically was on a 4th down a couple weeks ago, which was a bit brutal, and it hit him in the hands. But he makes enough plays where I'm not going to hold him to a couple drops, I think that on a really good team, he'd probably be a first-round pick, which is, it's crazy in the sense that, he'd be getting many more millions of dollars potentially if he was on a blue blood program. But I think that, if he gets in the game plan here and we can start pulling off some wins, I think that changing that, having a real inflection point in the culture is going to be much more important to him. Yeah. So that's interesting. I thought our running backs had a good day where we had not been running the ball well the past couple weeks. We only scored, I think, 7. Maybe we scored 21 points. Let me check that real quick. We scored 21 points, which isn't terrible versus a ranked team. Mm-hmm. But I think that if we can get closer to the 30 mark and we can take our defense up a notch, we can really start to win games. Yeah. It wasn't a bad week by any means. I think that we weren't expected to win, but if we wanted to go to a bowl game, we probably needed to. Yeah. I think that the most winnable games on the schedule were UNLV and Kentucky, and not winning those is pretty detrimental. We play Florida next week at Florida, who I don't think is a good team, and I think there's a chance we could beat them. Yep. Versus Georgia, that's a hard game. Yeah. At Ole Miss is a hard game. The versus Auburn is a potentially winnable game. Yeah. At South Carolina, South Carolina has been up and down.
I'd love to win.
I would love to win there as well. And then at Tennessee, which will be, we don't know which Tennessee's going to show up. But, I think Florida's a winnable game. I think Auburn's a winnable game. I think South Carolina's a winnable game. I think those are the most winnable, probably in descending order. Yeah. So I think if we don't get a win next week, I don't know if we'll win another game on the season.
Yeah, no.
Which will be a pretty big disappointment considering last year we went 5-7. And I wonder if there will be any thoughts about coaching changes. Yeah. I don't know if there will be, especially because we had been getting good recruiting talent. Yeah. But at some point that has to translate to wins.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I'm ready to sell on Clark Lee yet.
I'm not.
I do think that our offensive coordinator isn't great. I think that you have to understand the strengths and weaknesses of your team and be able to, even if some of the concepts aren't bad, even if some of the concepts would work on a general, in a general game of just everybody's the equal talent and execution, I think that at times, we have a weakness in our run blocking. And other teams know that, so that they're not stacking the box by any means. And so that means that there are more defenders in coverage that also can stop the run with just their 4-man front. And until we can prove to them that we can do anything elite, they're just going to continue to do that and stop both of our things. Yeah. I think that I've seen a few really... The thing is with Joey Lynch, our offensive coordinator, is at times I see some brilliant plays. I've seen some brilliant concepts where our guys are schemed open, and then I've seen some times where I just don't understand. Also, real quick, I want to talk about something that Derek Mason said as our casting guy versus Missouri. Because at one point we had a 3rd and 14. And this man on SEC Network, live television, not live, but television, he was like, yeah, I think what Van needs to do here is about pick up half, then punt. And you wonder why he's not a coach in the SEC anymore. Or anywhere.
He used to be in charge of our team.
Yeah.
He used to tell us what to do.
And your idea on 3rd and 14 is to pick up half and punt? No wonder we never won anything.
He's it's field positioning. It's field. What?
It's field positioning of 7 yards?
What?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Get the first down.
I mean, 3rd and 14 is hard to pick up. But your game plan on a 3rd and 14 should not be... It's not like you're going for 4th down and you're on the... I don't remember what time in the game it was, but it wasn't a time where we were going to go for 4th down. He didn't even say it. He said to punt. If you're going to pick up half on a 3rd and 14, and that's your yes.
That means nothing.
It means that you should be going for 4th down.
Yeah.
If not, try to pick up the whole thing. I understand playing the field position game to an extent, but I think we were on our 20-ish, and so field position is roughly equal at that point anyway, especially with our amazing punter Matthew Habel. So I don't know, it just felt demeaning.
Yeah.
And do I understand we've been on a bit of we've had a bit of a rough couple weeks? Sure. But oh my gosh, we didn't need to, you would never hear him say that about any other SEC team, which I think is
mad he no longer has the job.
Yeah, Rowe got fired, and then he's like, well, I just want to see him punt more. So, I don't know, it's just frustrating for sure.
Something.
Now, I think that was the end of my rant on Derek Mason. Do you have any coaching thoughts? Do you have any football thoughts?
No.
Any thoughts?
Not many.
But some?
Not a discernible amount. It's more like a haze.
Sure. Willem took his medicine today.
I did take my medicine. So rather recently.
I was expecting a less, maybe... I think we should do a film review on your behaviors before and after you got on medicine, because I really want to know if it's had any effect on your hosting ability.
We'll study this.
Yeah, this is for you. We'll put out a poll. Be like, have you noticed Willem?
Noticed Willem?
Hard to miss.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Got me blushing. Anyways.
Next week, we already talked about it. Next week we play Florida.
Yeah.
It feels like a short episode.
It does, but
I don't have any nonsense to talk about.
Yeah.
I
feel like we had like a pretty dry week. Like,
it's been just an interesting week. Yeah, and I know that we each have some stuff going on. So that's a little for all of our audience that was expecting whimsy and long-windedness and more weird rants about historic figures. You got all as much as you could with the George Washington.
Yeah. We did well.
Do you have anything else on this episode, I guess?
No, I don't believe so.
Wow.
Follow us.
Yeah, follow us.
We'll have a longer one eventually if you really want that.
Next week, I guess we'll probably have a longer one because we'll have a gayest.
Oh.
A gayest. Not like GU, like.
I know.
Yeah. So I guess with that being said,
this has been
Show 'Em the Door. Bye, guys.